Sixth graders did the leading. And it grew because they put their faith in this, not in their social setting, not in their social status, but into this, and that group grew. And by the time the end of the year around, almost every sixth grader was coming on a Friday. And parents were like, man, it's awesome, that's great. I said, I have nothing to do with it, it's what they're doing. It's because they were in the Word, and the Lord honored them and began to grow it. And what they did, that one instant began to grow outside into their athletics. So when we coached Fast Pitch, I coached JV Fast Pitch, and they all were on the team. And so guess what we did? We talked about the Bible a lot, and they drove that conversation. It's because they decided that no matter what, this was more important than anything else. You see what I'm saying? This was more important than staying up to 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, watching Netflix and Hulu and catching up on all your shows and doing all this, being on YouTube, making some videos that thought process goes through them. They're funny, they're not funny, I don't know. You should go watch Jackson Durant's video and let him know if you think it's funny or not. I thought it was pretty funny because I laughed for the 5.5 minutes, and then he never showed why he was doing something with his finger. Anyway, but we spend our time, listen to me, how we spend our time it really does matter. How you spend your time doing whatever it is that you do really does matter. If you practice your sports, and then you graduate high school, and then you don't play college sports, did you waste your time? No, I'm not saying you wasted your time at all. But what I'm saying is, how much more could you have gotten out of it if you added this piece to it? Because your talent's only going to take you so far, but the Lord can open many doors that you never thought was possible to be opened. There's no way in a million years that you would have told me when I was 22, 23, that one, I'd be a student pastor for going on 15 years, speaking in front of people, right? And thirdly, that I would be making our 6th year back to Nicaragua to host another baseball trip and introduce a men's slow pitch softball into a third world country and do that. Never in a million years would I thought that would ever happen, right? But he has chosen to use the gifts and the talents that he gave me, and I'm using them to glorify him. There's no big parade when Jason comes to Nicaragua. There's no big parade when Rob Wilhite goes to Nicaragua. There's no big parade when Rick... Well, there might be a big parade if Christy goes to Nicaragua because the kids are going to learn how to spell their names. They need education, right? But it's not about us at all. But we're being obedient and using a gift and a talent. Robbie Yarborough's going to Nicaragua to use his gift and talent. Are you still in here, Robbie? Yeah, that's right. Did you ever think in a million years you'd be going there to use that game? Never. But the Lord opens doors further than you ever possibly could. And when you step through them in your obedience through them, you'll be able to do amazing things. But we cannot do amazing things if we don't have that sword, that attitude of, I'm going to be in the Scriptures. I'm going to be reading and using the Scriptures. Now listen to this. Our past, well, man, I can never do that. Man, my family's this way, or I'm this way. Your past does not settle your future. Where you're at right now, as low as you might be in your life, does not set your future. Where you're at today does not determine where you're going to be in 10 years. You have the power and authority to change that. You have the power and authority to say, you know what, this is not good enough. This is not the way I want my life to turn out. Well, change it. Do something. All across the room, if I ask you to share your story, tell me about your life. Tell me about your family. Tell me about your childhood, which some of y'all don't have a very long childhood. But tell me about your family life. And you can give me stories that would break my heart. No doubt about it. There's stories all through this room that would just crush my heart and go, I don't get it. How in the world can you be successful? Listen, we give fruit cups and juice boxes to local elementary schools for a backpack feeding program so kids can get a chance to have food over the weekend. When's the last time you missed a meal over a weekend? Right? I mean, I can't even imagine living here and not having something in the cupboard. I mean, me and my wife, we're about to have Mallory, but right now there's probably 100 canned food items in our pantry. I'm like, why are we still going to the grocery store? I said, I don't like half of those things in our pantry. Well, we still have so much food. We're not going without. But there are people in our community that are going without. You may be one of those people in this room tonight that you don't know where your next meal's coming from. And my heart hurts for that. My heart breaks to know that there's a 9-year-old. How old's Ellie? 9. There's a 9-year-old going through Ellie's lunchbox, getting her Doritos so she can take them home. That breaks my heart. We all have stories. But that scenario in our life doesn't dictate where we want to go. It doesn't have to be that way. And so we got to take it and look. And sometimes I'm a little brash, but here, we don't have to take the attitude of woe is me. I didn't have an easy life. There's no woe is me. Every one of us that had a tough life, we can sit and whine about it and cry about it and have, in some way, feel like we have a right to do that. But in all actuality, the Lord is trying to teach you something through that. Right? He takes you to Nicaragua not for you to pass out food to say, man, I did something good. Look, if we want to do something good, and that's all that you care about, just give us the $1,500 for your trip. And let's just give it to the missionary. Let him do good with that money. Right? But you go over there to see what your heart looks like and see how you can impact people right here. Or you go to Ecuador and you do that. Or you go to Mexico and you do that. Or you go to Botswana, where the Shipes used to be missionaries at. You go there, and it's not what you do there because, believe me, the Shipes, they could handle that there. And in a lot of cases, I guarantee you, if you ask Parker, he'd be like, it'd have been a lot easier if that missionary group didn't come. They just gave us some money, we could do the mission work. Right? But they want to train you and see your heart, so when you come back here, you can continue that. You can see what your gifts and talents could be. Right? But sometimes we let our past dictate where we're going. Sometimes we allow our past not to let us move forward. So what do we spend our time doing? How do we spend your time? I want you to think about it just for a second. Just close your eyes. Don't go to sleep. All right, we're not ending yet. But don't go to sleep. And I want you to think about this.